Hi, welcome and welcome back. I hope you're doing well. I wanted to do a part 2 to my previous video about narcissists and money, who's in control. And definitely check that video out. I'll try to link it here as well. But I wanted to talk more about that. One, because there was another email that relates to that situation. And also, it provides more examples of what I was talking about. The cryptic language that narcissists will use, the desperation around money, and just life in general that narcissists will experience. It's tough, and you may be going through a lot with the narcissist in your life this holiday season. And my hope is that by sharing specifics, that it'll give you some ideas or give you some clarity on the types of things to look for and even ways to navigate that, like I had to do in this situation with my dad. He had asked us to take power of attorney over his finances about 4 months prior to his passing because he was really burning through money and just unable to keep it because of his addiction. And we had offered to put him in rehab anywhere he wanted to go on us. And he laughed about that, which I mentioned in a previous video, and just refused to accept our offer. And on the flip side, when he approached us with taking power of attorney over his finances towards the end of his life, we refused that offer. Like, no, we're not going to do that. This is what we're offering, and we're not going to do this. We didn't want to be entangled with his finances. We didn't want to have him contacting us every time he needed money. Like, we wanted to minimize that contact. And we talk about going no contact, and if you can't go no contact, to go low contact and to really minimize your interactions with the narcissist. Like if you're co-parenting, for example, or in this case, he was asking for power of attorney, for us to take power of attorney, and we did not want to have that regular interaction with him because he had already caused a lot of stress and a lot of drama in our lives, and we just were not interested in having that going forward. I found another email that was part of that email chain where my dad made the request. I told him I would get back to him, and ultimately I told him that we were not going to do that. We were not going to take power of attorney. However, he had sent me, when I told him, hey, let me talk to my husband, let me marinate on this, he sent me a response in the meantime. This is my dad's reply to my response of, hey, I'm starting my new job, let me marinate, talk to my husband, and get back to you. He says, Dear Leslie, congratulations on your new job. The consequences of my past mistake are hard to escape. The debilitating and frustrating immediacy is that I could be spinning my wheels forever. It takes only one slip to wipe out a year's worth of struggle. Anyone who has been afflicted, as I have, doesn't need superfluous money or any way to get it. I give myself high marks on most things, but very low marks on handling cash. I am looking for an arrangement to remove discretion from my hands. And in parentheses, he has fiduciary ? Close parentheses, while I am able to earn money. In that way, I should be able to defeat, quote, the lost cause. All my love, Dad. Now, this is the email that I just read to you. And there are a lot of things here. One thing is, again, there's the failure to fully own or admit to his specific issues. So he refers to the consequences of his past mistake and being hard to escape. And he refers to being afflicted. And the bottom line is he was addicted. He had a struggle with addiction. and he made a lot of mistakes. There was not just one singular mistake. There were multiple mistakes, you know, from abandoning us for weekends, like in succession, like weekends just disappearing, and then returning and playing happy family, pulling up to the dining table, pass the salt please. Can you relate? And this was throughout my school years, and then even after, when I went off to college and would return home. So there's a denial of the reality of his addiction, and not only that, but the magnitude of it and the impact of it, not just on us, but on himself. And it's kind of being fluffed up with million-dollar words and lofty scholarly language. Okay? And that's the pride talking. So the other thing is that the debilitating and frustrating immediacy is that I could be spinning my wheels forever. It takes only one slip to wipe out a year's worth of struggle. And he talks about not needing superfluous money, and talking about needing an arrangement or looking for an arrangement to remove discretion. So basically, he's trying to keep his cash away from, you know, his hands so that he doesn't blow it on substances, right? And then he's looking, so he's saying fiduciary, basically what he was asking of us, like a manager, someone to manage and take control. That's what he was looking for us to do, and we refused to take on that role. And he's trying to basically get his money away from him so that he can focus on working, earning money, and not blowing it on drugs. Okay? Just for this is what it is. And so he says in this way he should be able to defeat the lost cause. And the lost cause is this continual cycle of whatever his triggers were, getting triggered, and then turning to the drugs as a toxic coping mechanism, and then dipping into his bank account to get money to pay for the drugs, and then blowing whatever he earned during a given period on the toxic coping mechanism for a temporary fix, which again, as I mentioned in the previous video, does not deal with the root issue. It has nothing to do with, or doesn't address, I should say. It's related, but it doesn't address the underlying, you know, root cause of all of this. The failed relationships, the drama, the failed marriage, the strained relationships with his children. It doesn't address the root cause. ACEs, childhood trauma, undealt with, refusal to deal, refusal to confront, admit, and get help. And this is what it boils down to. So in this email, he's waiting for me to get back to him, but he's really hanging his hat on us coming in to save the day. And this is something that you need to think about too, because the narcissist in your life is going to request, if not demand, a lot of you to meet their needs and to serve them in any number of ways. Everybody's situation's different. And you are going to have to make a decision as to what you're going to allow. How much access are you going to allow this person to you and to your family, if you've got a family, and to your life, to your business, to your affairs, whatever it is, your things, your possessions. How much access are you going to allow this person? You know, how much are you going to allow them to infiltrate? What's your stress tolerance? Because it's stressful. I mentioned that before. Very stressful. The harassment, the constant, you know, requests, demands. And it's upsetting. It's disappointing too. The ghosting, the just refusal to be humble, to acknowledge, admit, you know, the reality of the situation. and still trying to, it's like my dad was still trying to hold on to this image of, you know, the person who maybe he was prior to really getting heavily into his addiction, and still trying to cling to this image instead of just, you know, letting it all hang out, like, you know what, I don't have control. I can't do this. It's not working. I'm drowning. And I get it, to a certain degree, that's what's being conveyed, but it's just masked by all of this scholarly jargon. And I'm having to kind of read between the lines, which I'm very good at, by the way. It's hard to watch. It was hard to watch. And of course, this is the time of year when all of this really was happening, and that steady decline was taking place, which ultimately ended in his death. And I don't know what your situation is or what's going on with the narcissist in your life and what stage or phase you're in, but trust me, it does not end well for the narcissist. If they're, you know, in denial, if they're refusing to get help or to deal with whatever their underlying trauma or whatever's really at the root of their behavior towards you and others, it doesn't end well for the narcissist. So I'm going to have to give you a part 3. There's more to this story, believe it or not. So if you're willing to hang with me, I got you. Narcissists are really bad at managing money, and oftentimes they're undealt with trauma that they've experienced, say for example in their childhood, and their stubborn refusal at times to deal with that can really compound their financial problems, and they may turn to you or to others as sources of supply to keep them afloat, but without really addressing the root cause. That's not really a solution. It's just a temporary band-aid. And when band-aids get wet enough, or they get old or dry out or kind of lose their adhesive powers, they fall off. You're not alone, and you're not crazy. Know who you're dealing with, know who you are. Take care, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.